We warned yesterday about the state of the comic industry. This is some new layoffs, and this has been going on pretty periodically. We saw this at IDW. More than 40% of their staff got laid off last year, and they're still struggling. They're in big trouble. Dynamite Comics, as we covered yesterday, is in massive trouble. Alien Books / Valiant has pretty much slashed everybody. If you don't know what happened there, Valiant Comics licensed themselves out to Alien Books. Alien Books hired a bunch of people, got a big rebrand going. The guy in charge laid off the entire staff, including editorial, and then kind of double licensed things to IDW back in process. So everybody's losing their jobs in the comic book industry right now as the comic industry continues to spiral. There's still a bunch of shills out there going out. The comic industry's fine. Everything's good. I love absolute Batman. Comics are good now. And it's not the case across the board. Yeah, there's a handful of comics out there that are doing okay in comic shops, but those levels are not enough to sustain everything down the lines. The Marvel and DC lines themselves, the mainline universes, are absolutely dead. And when that happens, people don't go into comic shops. And we'll get into the spiral effect of what happens that then hits companies like Image in just a moment, as we have a bunch of layoffs now happening at Image Comics. The comic industry is dying, guys. Big problem out there, and that's exactly why we need a new model and a new alternative. What's been happening where there's healthy spots in the comic industry for a long time is web comics. People are out there producing comics, putting them online, and building a following. You get a Patreon following or the like after that, as people want to support you and putting out their arts out there, and that is the healthy way to grow these days, and that's what's going on across the internet. If you're a comic shop Wednesday warrior, this is really where comics are at. These are getting millions and millions of views. Flying the Sparks has actually gone out there and done a ton over the years. This has sold a lot of copies, and of course is being read by thousands and thousands, and I'm glad that, of course, I've got a new Substack where I'm posting this right here. So I'm banned from Patreon. I'm too spicy. They got me for, quote, hate speech, and if you read my comic books, they're totally innocuous. This is what comic books should be. A lot of good fun, superhero action, great characters that develop, really fun world building, and I'm building a whole universe right here I want you to get in on. So this is my Substack. I'm posting a new page every single day, so you can catch up and read all of Flying Sparks up to date. I'll talk with you guys, and if you're interested in learning more, I'm doing some behind-the-scenes content on things as exclusives. I've done that on here, and if you see, we've actually got some exclusive comics that are coming out for paid subscribers as well, but you don't have to be a paid subscriber. You can get on here for free, but I do appreciate all the support here, guys. We're trying to build something different than the mainstream comic industry. It all starts right here with real comic reading. Join our community today. This is awesome stuff. You're going to love it. This has been called the best superhero comic book of the last 10 years by a Hugo Award-nominated editor. Get in, start reading now, guys. Thanks for being here, and get on the Substack. And that's the main deal. YouTube's so unreliable these days. It's a big, important thing to do. Thank you guys for being here. But you can hit the like and subscribe button anyway as we get into this news right here that layoffs are going on at Image Comics. So at least 4 staffers are no longer with the publisher, and here are the ones that are out. It's really interesting, these companies. The first people to go are always publicists and marketing people. And that's always like the worst possible call for a company to do. Baen Books is a traditional book publishing company. They do science fiction and fantasy. They laid off their publicist a couple years ago in a similar sort of meltdown. And what happened was, since then, they've had no publicity for their books. I've covered it on my main channel about a lot of their book releases recently were just getting zero traction. Nobody's buying the books, except for unless you're a big name author already. That's exactly where the comic industry's at, right? So unless Jonathan Hickman's doing his Ultimate Spider-Man sort of thing, or unless Robert Kirkman's pushing the big Transformers sort of deal, you're just stuck. Your comics that are out there, no matter how good they are getting no publicity because they just go to the same outlets over and over and over again to try to get that, and there's nothing else going on. So unless you have like a very competent publicity coordinator and publicist out there who's getting stuff out there to spots where people haven't seen, so you can get new readers out there, which the comic industry hasn't done, it's over. And that's what happened with Baen Books. Like I said, they have no publicist. They still don't have one. And so none of their information is getting out there to anybody. And I could see this happening to the mainstream comic industry right now as this publicist is now laid off. And so they are going to have a situation where they don't have the potential publicity getting out there at all. There's been, of course, Chloe Ramos, a library market sales representative. This is something the mainstream industry does, again, in book publishing and comics, where they get all these books sold to public libraries and the like. They get stuff where it's something like They pay for it based on our tax dollars. It's a large part of how these people stay afloat. If they don't have that, like an independent doesn't, they'd never be able to exist on the budget that we have over here. So, of course, that move to book market and library sales manager, again, this is also another marketing position. So you've got the mainstream marketing that goes out to like media outlets and the like. Then you've got the library and book market, like Barnes & Noble and the like, getting gone as well. This gets kind of crazy as who are they going to sell to at this point? Next is the inventory manager out there, who's, I guess, counting the books and things like that, gone at this point. Dina Phillips has been at Image Comics over 6 years, a marketing design manager. Again, another marketing spot. Absolutely gone, and this was the designed Image Previews catalog. Of course, Previews doesn't matter anymore since Diamond's gone at this point. So, of course, there might not be a spot for her at this point. But this is pretty crazy that 3 out of the 4 are marketing. And so this is where comics really is struggling beyond anything else, is their marketing departments. Again, as I'm saying, they're not reaching new readers. They're not new readers coming out there. Even though stuff like Absolute Batman, Ultimate Spider-Man is not reaching new readers. Those big titles right now are just playing off of some nostalgia bait. Same with Transformers even. All new Transformers #1. Wow, it sells a lot because it says Transformers and it's a #1. Now, Transformers is an excellent book, don't get me wrong, but all of this stuff is not really generating new readers or getting people into this comic market. The spot where everybody's going is Webtoon, Tapas, those sorts of sites where there's millions of people reading, and they can do so for free, so it's really difficult to compete against that kind of thing. That's why I'm trying it the way that those agencies are doing so, because I'd rather you guys get in on it, support, start reading, get in and be interested in what we're doing here, and that way we can cultivate a long-term readership that matters, and that's exactly where comics has failed to do so over the last several years. So this is it. There's no reasons given. It comes after Diamond Comics was hit heavily by the Chapter 11 bankruptcy at Diamond Comic Distributors, which has, siphoned millions out of all these companies and caused lots of problems. As we covered yesterday, Dynamite Comics cannot even cover their payroll for 1 week. It's a big problem out there. And of course, all of these companies are just like waiting for more shoes to drop as they are cutting. Things are making massive problems that are going on, and they don't want to talk about it. Of course, they're not going to be responding to inquiries. But yes, massive problems happening in the comic book industry. It is a sinking ship like none other, and this is the latest as it's going on from Image Comics, and that is where we're at today. What do you guys think about this? Leave a comment down below. Who do you think is the first company that's going to go BK and just disappear? That's what I want to hear from you. Leave that comment down below. Love to hear from you. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and also how long until Marvel and DC just license out their stuff and don't deal with this anymore? I'm waiting for that day. That'll be pretty interesting to see. Thanks for being here, guys. Make sure to check out a great alternative to the mainstream comic book industry right here on the Substack. This is the spot to be so I can stay directly connected with you. So important, guys, because I might never find you again after this video. You never know with YouTube these days. Substack's where it's at. You're going to read some great comics. Thanks for reading and making this a huge success. Appreciate you being here. We'll be back soon.